So I rewatched last night's video before I posted it, and was really frustrated because it was like the first part of the video, like I was annoying myself with it's the both and thing. It's like, yes, this, but also this, and the both points are aggravating. So it's like, on the one hand, yes, I should be able to want to help my mom with stuff. Um, the give and take aspect of it, right? But there's also that part where I've experienced it from the angle of it being direct coercion so much throughout my lifetime that it's really hard to separate the two, I guess. Sorry, I got my glasses on, so got all these all this glare stuff to worry about. But yeah, it's like one of the things that has frustrated me for a long time, and that I talk about on here periodically, is that point of I'm living here, I should contribute. I want to contribute, but at the same time, I'm also used to the fact that I got run over so much by my inclination to want to help and contribute to the group cause that it ended up destroying me in a lot of ways, and like I refuse to do that. But now when I'm talking through some of this stuff, it's like it gets really frustrating because it's like I know how I am, and I know that I really want to help where I can and all that stuff, but I'm so familiar with the part of it where it became a manipulation tactic, and it's like there's no real set space that it crosses from one into the other, but inevitably when I'm going along with what I feel I would want to do, like to help, to contribute, and, be a part of things on that end, at some point, I end up running myself ragged and not being able to really know what's mine to contend with and what's not. Like, at some point, I lose that, and that's where I'm having to set boundaries that I never had to set before, and pull back my energy so my family doesn't have the access to it that they used to. And of course they were benefiting from it in a lot of ways, so they don't like that at all. But and if my grandmother falls on the floor or whatever, then I should want to go help on that end, right? But it's like it becomes this thing where it's about the obligation to do it rather than because I'm here and able. It's like then we go to, well, she's back now, so we can just do all this stupid shit and she will pick up wherever we don't want to carry our own weight anymore, right? So yeah, I talked about the other day, my dad sent my brother a text talking about it is his obligation as the oldest to step up and start taking care of his parents when they get to the point where they need him to help out. And that goes right back to it, because what it doesn't say he's going to do, but what he's very much shifted to doing, and they both have, and it's kind of throughout my family, they all do this, is oh, well, now somebody else can worry about it and it's somebody else's problem, so we don't have to pull our weight anymore. We don't have to think about things for ourselves because somebody else is going to be there to remind us to take our pills and do the things, and somebody else can clean up the mess and whatever. It's like, that's where it's a problem, because it's no longer the collaborative effort. It's now you're here. It's your job to do this. I'm not going to do this anymore. Or I'm going to go out of my way to make it so you have to do what you're supposed to. And that doesn't help anybody. It's like, it's frustrating because I spent my whole life with this whole codependent nature of doing things, because it was never about me doing something for me to see what things I enjoyed and what I wanted more of in my life. It was, I had to do these things to fulfill my role, as the daughter in this family with the toxic tendencies. And, my brother's getting hit from the standpoint of he's the oldest, so he's supposed to do this, this, and this. And it's like, I'm the daughter, so this is also on me. So it's like, we weren't supposed to have our own lives because we were supposed to just pick up the slack when they were tired, and because they sacrificed all their brain cells and everything to dealing with their parents and their toxicity, and then it just becomes our problem. It's like, that's why it's a problem, because then, they chose to pour all their time and energy and efforts into contributing to fulfilling their roles, but then they didn't do anything for themselves to, it's like the whole idea of having hobbies or whatever is, like my dad, he's retired and now he just binges YouTube all the time, and he acts miserable a lot of times because he's not doing anything. It's like, what would you want to do? It's like, he retired just because he didn't want to work anymore. So, okay, fine. But now what? So now he's around more regularly, and then, when there's no longer an excuse for why he's leaving his trash on the floor or his freaking apple cores in the armrest of the couch, which, by the way, was never acceptable. That's who does that? But end tables, armrests, yeah, that's no. You are capable of standing up and taking that with you to the trash can. And so, like, he always wanted to share his breakfast bowls with the dog. So when he was done eating the stuff out of it, he would give the plastic bowl to the dog to, lick the gravy or whatever out of it. And she loved it, but she didn't clean up after herself. And I don't feel like, if he's the one putting the trash on the floor, like, I need to be the one to go up and clean up after him. No. He's fully capable of doing that. But it's like, okay, there's an empty box sitting on something that needs to go out into the garage. So suddenly we don't have to take the trash to the trash can where there's a trash bag in it. We'll just throw it in the empty box. It's like, okay, well, what if we were going to use that box for something like, like boxing stuff up for Goodwill or whatever. It's like, now we got trash in it, and usually gross stuff. And then there's the whole point of, we know the dogs will get into the trash if they can, and if there's something enticing in there for them. There's been a whole ordeal trying to keep two of mine out of it, Ziva and Taz. But it's like, before I leave the house, I try to put forth the effort to make sure there is nothing on the table that will entice them to get up onto the table. However, if I'm the only one doing that, And we just forget things because we shouldn't have to think anymore because somebody else is around to do that for us. That's not really helpful. And then, I yes, this is gross, but I did delete a picture off my phone the other day that I had taken and sent to my mom, because it was gross, because she had left a bag of Halloween candy on the table and my dogs got into it and ate a bunch of the candy, and so they pooped out green Halloween wrappers. And I was walking them, and of course have to clean up the poop that's got green Halloween wrappers in it. So I took a picture and sent it to her. It's like, so maybe we don't leave the Halloween candy on the table next time or whatever, because clearly they're going to get into it. We knew they were going to get into it. So that's why I try to go out of my way to make sure anything that is going to be enticing to them is not readily available to entice them. And it's like, when there's 3 people in the household and I'm the only one that gives a shit about it, that's not real helpful. And luckily they started shutting their bathroom door because my dogs were getting into their bathroom trash, which is all sorts of disgusting. And yeah. But it's like, there's always those times where I have to go follow, okay, I happen to be walking past, so let me just make sure that door is shut, because otherwise there's no guarantees that it will be shut. And it's like, yes, I understand my dogs are a pain in the butt on this end, but at the same time, we know they're going to do it, so why do we need to encourage it to be done, right? And I'm not a fan, basically. And, like yesterday when I was helping with the breakfast stuff, Ziva was right there. She has this lovely tendency. She's 12, but she's very good about trying to trip you to make you drop something so she can have it. Love this dog to death. She is too smart for her own good. But yeah, like, I was like, it's a long time since, you used to have to stay over on the carpet when I was cooking, because now, since we've been at this house, that hasn't been an option. It's been far longer than, I really wish we were not still here, but I figure universe has its reasons for me being in this situation, and I see them regularly, and it's a matter of this being able to hold my boundaries, even though everything in me wants to help and to have an environment where everybody's doing something for the good of the whole. That's not how this works out. And it's like, I can't continue to pour all of me into it and all my time and energy just because I'm the daughter and I happen to be living here right now, so therefore they assume that they can just slack off and do things however, and I'll pick up the slack. I'm not doing that anymore. And it's really frustrating because I thrive on peaceful environments, and holding my own boundaries and protecting my own time and energy is not something that's applauded. It's something I was not taught to do. And since they were benefiting from me always giving of myself, and like, my mom's big thing was living vicariously through me because she never learned to have her own life. So then, like I talked about the drumline thing yesterday, and it's like, we won this championship thing, and I was one of the leaders for this group, and it was a really cool thing. And then all my band stuff, like, she was like pouring herself into it completely, and it was one of those things of, see how good I can do and how helpful I can be, kind of a thing. But then it all came down to this one moment where I was trying to swallow my pride so I could say thank you for your contribution to this thing, and instead, I never had the chance to say it because she came over and said, I deserve this as much as you do. And it's like, what the fuck am I here for? And it's like, that wasn't something she would have participated in if she was in school. It was specifically because I wanted to do this thing. She was going to be very much an active part of it, and kind of choking the life out of it to some degree, but never as much as in that last moment. And there was I struggled with a lot of resentment in those years in band because I knew she was living vicariously through me. And it's like, I'm doing this thing that she's benefiting from, and then she takes it over like it wasn't even my thing. Like I was barely even there, and she did complain about the music that we did, because we did music by Tool, and, well, obviously that was a problem, but everybody else loved it. Everybody loved it, I think, because, we won, but, there was a lot that went into it than just that, but yeah, it's like she complained about the music. She was there for a lot of the practices, but not in the middle of the actual practices for practice purposes. So I would like to have thought that I was a big, important part of this program. And then, in that moment, it was just like, nope, clearly I was not, right? And I had a hard time allowing that to be something that was still mine in any kind of way, because, she had to come in and swoop in and, haha, me too. And it's like, it's fine if you're there to help for helping's sake, but just to try to make it your thing and act like I was never there to begin with, that's bullshit. So then it goes back to this, everything in me wants to make it a peaceful living arrangement, but I have to hold boundaries for myself and for my energy, and not just get the life sucked out of me too. Like, my family has been perpetuating bad cycles with their families for forever. It's one of those things that is definitely not exclusive to my family by any means. And I feel like that's a big part of why I am doing this whole YouTube thing, because I feel like what I'm learning and have been learning, especially in the more recent years, but really throughout my entire life, I feel like others will be able to benefit from that, and that's the reason for the channel, and that's also part of the reason for the channel that my brother and I will be doing in the near future. But, we're still trying to navigate some of those details. We've at least started talking about it, so more seriously. Like when I first mentioned podcast to him, and he was like, but it's like, this YouTube thing, yeah. And I feel like we have a lot to offer on that end, but it goes back to that frustration of the both and thing, like, okay, that codependency thing. So we were raised not to have our own lives. We were raised to stay forever obligated to this toxic system. But we eventually realized it's not working out so much for us. And I hate living here and not contributing, like I've said many times in this video. But at the same time, it's like the whole point of the codependency piece is that it was never a choice. It was never encouraged to know anything more about who you are or what you want to be in the world or what you want to contribute to the world. It's what do you contribute to the family system, and do not max out do not give anybody else, your time and energy because it belongs to the family. But no, that's bullshit. And I've talked about how basically, since I've been setting my boundaries, and there's the little coercive piece that comes up, and like in last night's video, it's kind of hard at the beginning to really embrace the part where it was fully coercive, because on the one hand it sounds like, hey, you're living there, you should contribute, but then I spent my entire life trying to be what they told me I needed to be, or what it was okay for me to be, and not go anything beyond that. It's you can shine bright but not brighter than me, kind of an idea. And basically not even that with them, because it's like they've thrived on squashing the light in anything, anyone, and all that fun stuff. But it's like, when I had that conversation with my mom about at the hospital, when I told her she needed to, at some point it has to be okay for this man to die, right? When I said that, she went back to the point of, well, you are codependent. It's like, yeah, because you raised me to be that way and not to be anything else. I was never supposed to figure anything out for myself. I was never supposed to figure out who I was or who I wanted to be in this world and what I wanted to do in this world to contribute to the world, maybe. It was like, specifically, if it benefited anybody except the family, okay, it was there to contribute to the family, nothing else, and whoever joins the family, it's like they have to be okay with these things. It's like, yeah, I don't see that working out, because luckily there are people that were raised in healthier environments than my brother and I, so not everybody's as stunted emotionally as we've been working through on our own journeys here lately. But like when she threw out that thing about well, you are codependent, it's like, yeah, because you raised me to be. And it's like, while I'm here not actively contributing to things they can see because it's not specifically helping them, it's like they're also ignoring the fact that I also ended up with like freaking thousands of dollars in student loans that I wouldn't have even bothered to mess with starting out if it was about trying to figure out who I was and what I wanted to do in the world. I went to college when I went to college specifically because it was her life's regret that she hadn't gone to college and gotten a degree, and, she made her decisions, but then my brother and I went and kind of felt like floundering, honestly. I think my brother changed, like, when he was in undergrad, he changed his major every semester and then eventually left and joined the Air Force. It's like I stayed with a more consistent range of things where things were overlapping, because like I bounced back and forth with sociology, psychology, religious studies, and those kinds of things, and eventually settled on religious studies, psychology, and then minors in interpersonal relations and creative writing. It's like the creative writing piece was the part that was honestly somewhat more intriguing to me. Like, I've always felt like I'm supposed to be writing, but I also chose to do it as a minor because I didn't feel confident in my abilities to do this thing either. It was like, because it was never about being good at anything. It was literally just contributing to the toxic family cycle. It's like, that's shit. And one of the things I've been struggling with here lately, and it goes back to that piece on why I am in this house still. I know this time frame will soon be coming to an end, but I don't know how or when. I just know sometime in the near future I will be out of here. But again, can't talk to them about that because it looks like I shouldn't be able to. So they can happily think I will be staying here to mooch off this system and pick up their messes and whatever, whatever. But like there's this big thing. It's like the other day, I had this feeling. Okay, let's go back to the bear. So I submitted my picture to the zoo contest because there wasn't a prize, so there was nothing on the line, so I couldn't prove that I was good or bad at anything, right? It was just, oh hey, maybe somebody else will like this picture, and there's nothing on the line, so I won't. Basically, I didn't have the opportunity to step in and talk myself out of it. It was just, I took these pictures, maybe somebody else will find some enjoyment in them as well. And not, hey, I did really good on this thing, maybe somebody else will like it. Because if there was any kind of prize attached to it that I'd known of, then I wouldn't have even bothered because I didn't think I was worthy of winning anything. Basically, no, Buddha. He's like, you're talking, I can't too. So, yeah. So I won this contest because I was completely detached from it. It's like, there's nothing on the line, just maybe somebody else will appreciate this picture too. Then I found out I won, and it was really cool. And the enjoyment lasted a half an hour, and then I was trying to print something off at home so I could give the zoo permission to use my picture. And then there was the kerfluffle with my parents getting involved with it. My mom trying to talk me into having my dad help me, and my dad was sitting back there and doing his own thing and didn't really want any part of it. And basically, all he said was, okay, so it was the phone not being connected, or not looking like it was connecting to the printer, and he said, well, then it's probably not. But then the way I read into it, because of all the years of him name calling me, various things, I just kind of read in that, well, then it's probably not connected, dummy, and because that was the way he said it, and shit, the man's called me a dumb bitch before, so why would it be out of the realm of possibilities for him to call me a dummy, so it was just like reading it in through these layers of things that he has done this in the past, when I was really struggling. It became a big joke for my family to name call me, so that wasn't like names that weren't my name. So it's not far off to think that that's something that could have been there, and I absolutely feel like it was in there. So, there was that, and then there was something, and I ended up crying all that day, and it was really frustrating. And then, other stupid stuff came up, and it was like they had the opportunity to try to pull me back into the drama and the ickiness again. It's like, fuck, here we go again. But something else came up, and it was one of those things that's like, has some twinge of jealousy feelings. It's like, this is bullshit. And it's like stuff that I shouldn't, or I feel like I shouldn't have to have that kind of experience about. But on the picture end of things, like the more I've been talking through that, I realized it's like that's very much that worthiness wound, and then I came across this Shetty quote on Instagram the other day, and it's like, yeah, it says, feelings of jealousy are actually conditioned from a young age. Some people never experienced jealousy because they were never in an environment where comparison and competition was being created by the insecure or traumatized adults. It's like, I sent that to my brother. He's like, yep. It's like we both just, because basically, like, my whole life, like, when it was just me and my brother as the grandkids, he was the favorite because he was into sports and the stuff that they were, that my grandparents were able to connect with him about, and I was the weird one. And like, something that's been kind of annoying is since I've gotten into skating here lately. Okay, so I started derby when I was 38, and then it became this big deal where my grandma, like, every time I was over there, was talking about how much she loved skating and all this stuff. It's like, why didn't I hear about this when I was younger? I clearly enjoyed skating when I was younger, but it never was a thing that I guess they took seriously as any kind of a hobby or anything. Just, I mean, derby wasn't a thing that I knew of back then, so yeah, it's like, what is the purpose of her fixating on the skating stuff? Because she still does it. If I go over there, it's like a point of connection, so we'll talk about this thing. But then it also feels like there's that element of, because she threw it away when she got involved with my grandfather, then, I mean, that was her choice. But she somehow missed out on all this thing, or all this time that she could have been doing something that she loved, because she ended up with my grandfather. It's like, yeah, I'm really kind of over the, my mom and my grandma specifically living vicariously through something that I enjoy and I choose to do for me, because they didn't ever have anything like that for them. My grandma said she was really into skating all the time when she was younger, and then I don't know what's happening. Let me shut that door. There's the thud. Dogs will probably be back and like, why are we locked out now? Oh, it's a delivery truck. Hold on a second. Anyway, yeah, so, like, the one thing, like, my grandma does do a lot with that is she will always bring it back to, I never could skate backwards, though, and all this stuff. It's like, okay, well, you could have if you would have kept at it, kind of a thing, or if you would have chose to. But, and she's the way she is. She will always bring it back to how she was just never that good or whatever, and, like, she had no choice at practicing the thing to get better at it or whatever. It's like, at the end of the day, if you chose to give it up, then that's on you, and, if, I get the sense when she starts talking about stuff like that sometimes she's trying to pull me back into the idea of I'm also not supposed to be good enough to do this thing, that she wasn't able to continue because she chose to get involved with my grandfather and get knocked up before she got married. So, okay, obviously probably not, she'd be pissed if she heard me say that, but, yeah, because they got married in April after they found out she was pregnant, and yeah, so my mom was born in December, and it took a long time for anybody to figure that out, and I think the grandkids were the ones that appreciated it the most, because, there's all these ideas about you're not supposed to do this stuff because it's wrong, because the church says it's wrong or whatever bullshit, and it's like, and yet clearly you were listening to those rules as well, right? So, it's like finding out you've been held to this impossible standard that, hey, they weren't really good at keeping either. But the thing with my grandma is I feel like every time she starts talking down about herself on those kind of things, I'm supposed to share that sentiment of, oh, I'm not good enough for this either, and I got back into it, but I never learned to skate backwards. It's like, no, that was one thing that, we had moments where we were having to practice that, and I got to the point, it's like, I'm going to figure this out. I'm still working on, I can turn one way while moving. The other way, I'm not so good at turning it just yet, but I will be. I'm going to get there because I'm too stubborn to quit it. But, if I'm pretty sure if she had it her way, I would just listen to her say that she couldn't skate backwards, and I would accept that I also am not supposed to be able to do this thing because she never was able to. And it's like, no, that's not gonna work. Not only can I skate backwards, I can do it outside. So that's fun. And I won't say I'm real fabulous at it, and I only have certain places I'll do it while I'm skating over there. Because, there's the road going back to where the football fields are, and the road at the middle school that goes, or junior high, no, that's the intermediate. Back when I was going to school over here, they had they had 3 elementary schools, middle school, and the high school. And then, my class was the last small class we had, and there was 176 people in my graduating class, I think. And it's the ones for several years before and for I think forever after that were 200 or more. So, yeah. But yeah, some point in the past few years, they split. Well, they had the middle school that I went to closed for a while, and they opened up the new middle school, which held a lot more people, a lot more grades, a lot of fun stuff. Well, maybe not more grades, but eventually they ended up opening the other one back as a junior high, so it's hard to keep up with any of them. But anyway, at the intermediate school, there's this road that goes from the back lot to the front lot, and not a whole lot of people drive that one. I think it's mainly for staff stuff. But it's one of those that's really smooth, so I don't have to worry about. I mean, there are rocks that have been kicked up from, where it's breaking down in certain spots or whatever, but I might catch a rock periodically, but usually it's the safest one. It's less rocks than some of the others, and less traffic. So it's one of the places that I will go backwards. But yeah, it was my goal hey, that's another fun thing I manifested. Back in the fall, I set this intention that I was going to learn how to turn around the other way. And, because I can turn one way smoothly, and then the other way was just not smooth at all. And it's so always Bambi on ice, trying to figure that one out. And it's what is happening? Why can I not do this? So I set the intention that before the end of the year, I was going to figure out how to do it. And then there was this thing. So I follow this one derby skater, Krissi Krash. She was in the movie Whip It. And derby's her thing, right? So I started following her page because I was playing derby, and, she had this program to help you get better kind of a thing, and, some of that stuff. So I still get some of her videos periodically, and after I set this intention, she posted a video real soon. It was within a couple of days, about unlocking your turns. And she was talking about how the most important thing was turn your upper body in the direction you want to go, and that that'll help help your feet go along with it. It's oh, okay. So then I started messing with that a little bit, and I started figuring it out, but I didn't ever get good at it. But I am at least capable of going that way. I still kind of slow almost to a stop when I'm in the process of turning. So obviously I still got some work to do. But that was exciting when I set this intention, and then this thing pops up to help me figure it out. It's awesome. Universe is on the ball with teaching me things and helping me to find what I need when I choose to need it or choose to work on it. So yeah. But Now I just need the weather to cooperate so I can get out there again. Because 19 degrees ain't gonna do it. And I think yesterday it was like 9 when I looked. It's like, that's not cool. You know, I'm gonna... the real field temp can be the sucky end of things, but I'm trying for like the actual temps at like 30 before I get out there, just less miserable. But I don't know, I might change that up here soon, just if if it doesn't look like it's ever going to get warm enough to do it comfortably. At least a bunch of the snow melted off the other day, and since it's cold again, I mean, the icy spots have been salted at this point, so yeah. But the little ways, or like the paths I was using from one lot to the next, are, a lot of them got snowed over and not cleared off because, I mean, it's not football season right now. So, I mean, school football, I don't know when football season is, to be honest, but I know nobody's using the football fields over there like they were, so they left the 10 inches of snow on the path that went from the one lot to the other, so it's like, can't skate through 10 inches of snow. I could probably walk through it, but I don't really want to mess my skates up or have cold feet at that point either. So yeah. Yeah, random tangent. Well, should we talk about Gage? What should we talk about? She's like, how about you stop talking and throw the toy? Don't say the word. But here's the dog. Thank you. Yes, I love you so much. Yeah, took a girl. Yeah. My bear. Yep. Painted that frame yesterday, so that was fun. That's one of my things I do, just painting things. I had this thing that my mom got me. It was a sign for my room or whatever. And what does it say? Something about dogs making the home. But I had this thing for a couple years. It's like, I don't love it the way it is because it's like brown and white. And one day I looked at it, it's like, I could paint that. And it kind of set me on this interesting little path of just painting anything. It's like, oh, I have these things in my space. I could paint them and make them so they are more agreeable to my space. So, you know, like picture frames. I got really into doing that for a while. And all the ones I'm seeing right now, that's like, there's one or two that I didn't paint, but like, okay, that one up there, Hecate and her dogs, I did not paint that one. That was actually an old, it was some part of a wedding gift that had something else in it. And I think it was like this 10 commandments of marriage or whatever. And it's like, well, that can go. So I got rid of that and I put a picture in it that I liked. And it's like, I kind of like the frame though. I thought about painting it, but then I kind of liked it for what it is and for being up there. It's like, no, I'm going to keep that one as it is. But like all the rest of those, I painted those. And the busyness of the walls. Yeah. So anyway, I got really into painting things. And I have an owl on the wall that my brother and sister-in-law got me somewhere, and it was black, and it's like, hey, I can paint that too. Because if it's going to be in my space, I can do what I want with it, right? And so I've been finding other things. So I had the owl. Hawks are obviously important for me for various reasons that I've talked about on here many times, and try not to get yep. See that? The pink reflection, there's a pink box behind it. But yeah, I painted my hawk. I just haven't got it hung up yet. And my raven. Yep. I mean, it does have some pinkish tones to it. A lot of that is also the tote that is there that I need to go through again. Yeah. I was thinking that I need to just combine my Halloween and Christmas stuff into a box and have it put away so I can, you know, have other spaces, like summer stuff. I'm going to have access to it, because who knows when we're going to get out of this place. But at some point, it's going to happen. But, you know, trying to condense and get rid of some things and pack things better. I don't know, I guess much stuff, though. The bonus is it does fit primarily in 2 rooms, so there's that, because we were talking about that the other day, moving, and I was like, logistically speaking, how are we going to make this happen? And I figure if the universe is ready for us to go somewhere, and it's meant for us to go there, it'll all come together easily, and yeah, it'll work out kind of like magic. So definitely staying positive on that end. Yeah. Oh, God. So the Twin Flame book number 9 is almost done. I have like 1 sheet of paper front and back and like half of another page. It's like, that's it. Then I go on to book 10. So it's like, we're at a completion time now anyway. You know, so yeah. Gidget's going stir crazy because she has not gotten to burn energy like we were doing so well there for a while, you know, and hear her scoff. Yeah, but it's like, I don't know what the temperature is today. See if that says. Nope, doesn't say on that thing. I'd say 19 is probably generous, but who knows? Actually, I think today is supposed to be the coldest day, because the Alexa thing in the other room was talking about like from 1 a.m. to 10 p.m. tonight. It's supposed to be like ridiculously cold. So that's not real motivating to go outside, and she really likes going outside, so we can play inside. It's usually a lot shorter, and she doesn't appreciate that because she doesn't get as much running in. She's just squinting at me. Like, quit talking about me and let's go do something. It's driving us all nuts that we aren't being able to be active like we were there for a while. You know, because there were a lot of days this year we did not miss going on walks, and, you know, I got to do a lot of skating and stuff, and here lately it's just like too cold or snow, you know, so yeah. We'll figure it out. We have to. I figure one of these days I have every intention of getting a dog treadmill, but I don't figure I need to worry about that while I have other things like potentially moving anywhere else. Yeah. And don't really have the disposable income to do that just yet. Just thinking, I really hope that tank sells soon so I can get it out of here. I've complicated things in my room, or in my office, because I put this white folding table up. It's like 6 feet long. So it's like, it's helpful because the tank is off of the dresser and my plants are on the dresser now. But at the same time, it's not really convenient and it needs to go. And if I mark the price down a whole lot, then it probably will go a lot faster. But it's like, I don't want to mark it down too low and then somebody comes back with, oh, well, you take this even less amount. And it's like, it is priced right now specifically so if somebody really wanted it and said, oh, would you take this amount instead? I probably would, just to get it out of my space. But I don't want to, like, screw myself over so I don't get anything out of it either. That's not helpful. Yeah. So, but I had this one lady that sent me a message with that approach in mind, right? Okay. So it was those stupid CDs that I have in the back of the car and have had way too long in the back of the car. And she sends me a message one day saying, okay, I had them listed for $30, saying, would I take 25? It's like, I would take 25 for it. And then she comes back with, my husband said to see if you would take 20. I said, I would not take 20 for it. It's like, who does that? Start lower, and then we can kind of meet in the middle kind of a thing. Don't keep just pushing for even less because I said I would accept less. It's like, no, we're not. All that happened was out of that was I didn't want to sell to them. You know, of course, since she followed it up and I said no, then I never heard anything else back about it. And it's like, would I have really? I don't know. But still, it's like, don't just keep pushing for me to take more money off of it just to get rid of this stuff. It's like, there's still over 40 CDs in this box. Some of them were brand new. A lot of them I listened to repeatedly for years, but they still played last I knew. So, you know, and some of them, it hadn't been that long ago that, I mean, some of them were still in the CD player in the car since I moved back. So, yeah, they played recently-ish. But yeah, I just stopped listening to that kind of music, so yeah, I don't know. But yeah, like that whole, I hate dealing with selling things. Sometimes it goes smoothly and somebody will, you know, really want it and be cool about the whole process, and then other times you get the people in there that are just, I really want this, but I'm going to rely on you to meet me halfway and not act like I want it at all. It's like, I'm sorry if you... Okay, the one dude, going back to those stupid CDs, okay, where he's at, it's like a little over an hour drive, I think, to get them. And I think he was kind of expecting me to be willing to take them all the way to him, and no, that's not that's not how this is working. That's stupid. So, you know, unless you want to, like, he didn't say anything about paying me that, just, I can't go there for that. And it's like, well, I'm not giving it to you either, so it's not that critical to get it out of my space. If I get really tired of having it in my space, I can freaking take it to Goodwill and just make it their problem. So yeah, it's like right now it's just in a box, and I would love to have it out of here, but I also love to have a little bit of money out of it if possible. So that shouldn't be too much to ask. But yeah, I said I could meet you in Greenwood, which would roughly be about a halfway point for either of us. So then he comes back with when he's going to be there. It's like, I'm not bringing it to you because it's convenient for you. It has to work for both of us, or it's not going to work. And I just sent him a message because he said, oh, I was there the other day. I wish I would have known that or whatever. It's like, well, I wasn't there that day, so it wouldn't have mattered. And I sent him a message. I said, okay, this is the day I'm going to the blood center. If you can make it work that at that time, like before or after the appointment. I mean, it's a platelet appointment, so that's like it takes like a couple hours while I'm there anyway. So it's like, if you can meet me there beforehand or right after, then you can have it. But otherwise, if it's not that important to you, then I'm not going to bring it the rest of the way to you, for $30. No. You're already getting, there's a bunch of stuff beyond the CDs in there, like freaking small posters from Passion of the Christ movie or whatever, and, a few other little odds and ends, and it's like, this isn't useful for me, maybe somebody else would want it. You know, somebody else that is going for that stash of CDs might be interested in that stuff. So, you know, it's basically just more stuff to get out of my way. And if you don't like it, then fucking goodwill it. I don't care. Yeah. But still, just like the amount of people that are like, oh, cater to me and don't make me have to do anything for it. It's like, no. You know, I had this Under Armour sweatshirt that I sold to somebody that we met in Greenwood, and I think it was close to his house. He said, I think I had it posted for $20, and he said, I want it, but not that bad, not bad enough to come to my town. It's like, and he said, are you ever in this town? It's like, yes. I said, if it's on a day that I'm going to the blood center, it's like, you know, I can bring it that day. And we ended up working it out just nicely. And he is from Greenwood, so he was able to, I mean, he had a little bit of a drive to get over to where it was, because I wasn't bringing it all the way to him or whatever. But it's like, since I was already going to be there, I don't have a problem with, you know, with bringing it that way and not for additional money on that end, because I was already going to be there. You know, but then some of these other people are just like, bring it to me just out of the goodness of your heart, even though I'm going to, like, be a dick and not do anything to show that I'm actually interested. And it's like, I'm not going to bring it all the way, like, bring these freaking CDs all the way to you just for you to back out at the last minute, or, oh, I don't have the money now. Can you take nothing? No. You know, and I feel like there's a whole lot of that anymore. It's like people just looking for the opportunity to take advantage of others, and that's really irritating. And that's, like, I think one of the biggest things that I hate about trying to sell anything on Facebook is just, like, the amount of people. Or, shit, I had this freaking skirt from Spirit Halloween that I got with the intention of wearing for Derby, but then I retired Derby, so it's like, I don't really, it's not my style otherwise, so, you know, trying to get rid of it elsewhere, or on there, and I posted it around Halloween. It's like, maybe somebody will want it for a Halloween costume, I don't know. And so I post this thing, the green one. I'll probably keep the green skirt because there were two skirts, and at one point I had them together and then eventually split them up. I had some dude who just sent me pictures of him wearing weird Halloween costumes with skirts, and then it's like, dude, I literally do not care what you want to do with it. I just want it out of my space. You know, I don't need your weird pictures sent to me to show how wonderful or how much you're into this thing. I don't care if you either want it or you don't. At the end of the day, that's it. If you don't, leave me alone. You know, like there's one girl on there, when I posted the tank, she's like, what's the lowest you would take? It's like, I'm not going to tell you that. And it's like, you know, she started hounding me on Christmas Day about it. And I was like, dude, I said, I'm not giving you what the lowest amount I would take for on it is, because if I said the lowest I would take is $50, why would you ever ask me to take anything more than that? And so that would just be shooting myself in the foot. And I have no desire to do that. I said, really, all this has done is make me not want it to sell it to you. So, yeah, go away. You know, and she's like, well, you don't have to be rude about it. I don't think I actually said the I don't want to sell it to you part. It was like, if I told you the lowest I would ever take, why would you ever go higher than that? That was where I cut it off at. And I don't think she ever responded to that part. But, you know, she came, well, yeah, she would have had to if she came back with, well, you don't have to be rude about it. It's like, it's not being rude. It's standing up for myself and not trying to get pushed around by assholes just seeking to take advantage of people, really. And yeah, sorry, not in the market to keep doing that. I've done that my whole life, and I don't want to continue doing that anymore. It's a pain in the ass, you know, but it's one of those, that goes back to that why I am here right now, because I'm learning on setting boundaries and following through with what I set for myself as a will or won't accept from others, treatment wise. So, yeah, that's why I'm still here in this household. And like I said, I know that's short lived at this point in time, and it will be in the near future to not be here anymore. I just don't know when that's going to be or how it's all going to come together and work out. I just know that, I keep getting these messages too, like my cards and then readings that I watch online or stuff I'll read in a book that talks about there's nothing more to learn where you're at. It's like you got the lessons from it. Now it's just about maintaining that space and holding that space for myself and staying committed to not getting run over by people, because I literally have spent my entire life allowing people to run me over, and God, I had this pet sitting job a while back, and it was like a couple years ago at this point, and really nice people, but I shortchanged myself, and they're like, how much? It's like, I hate setting prices for this, and it's just hate trying to come up with the numbers about how much my time and energy is worth. And they had 5 dogs, like 8 cats, a hamster, bearded dragon, fish, a whole lot of stuff. And I think I got like $150 for the week. And it's like, that was definitely shooting myself in the foot, because, they said, how about this much? It's like, okay. And then it was kind of like, that's all it's worth to you? But I ended up, because it was like a 15-minute drive over there. I was like, look, I did not even consider the gas money to get there, 3 or 4 times a day to potty the dogs and all that stuff. So I did get a little bit more out of it, but it wasn't much. And it's just like, yeah, I gotta do better than that, because obviously they don't care about my time, and it's clearly not worth it enough to them. It's like, okay, we have like 500 animals. How much are you going to charge us to take care of them? It's like, oh, shit. Luckily, the next time I got a pet sitting gig, there's somebody local, and it was like less than 5 minutes over to their house. So it was easier to do it without having to worry about as much gas money going out on that end. It was like they had 3 real big dogs. It's like, all right, so how much for each dog going over there? How much would I charge them? Okay, or somebody I know more for this, whatever. Those people, it was really short notice because they had just moved and they forgot that they had a family thing that they'd committed to, and like we're last minute like, oh shit, we forgot to figure out the dogs, and it happened to work out really well for all of us, and then I was able like to be more generous, I guess, because their dogs were like really easy, real big ones, so you don't have to like worry about as much, big lazy ones, so not as much energy expenditures required. So yeah, but trying to navigate through that, and I've talked on here before about having that struggle with even coming up with like a number on that end for watching my brother and sister-in-law's dogs. It's like, that one luckily kind of worked itself out easily enough, but still it was the whole having to do it freaked me out, and then I felt really bad, and then it's like, I shouldn't feel bad. Okay, if I tell you $50 a day, and decide to, especially with their dogs, I'm going to go over there and spend time with them, because I know they get wound up on spending too much time in the crates, and they can't be trusted out of the crates by themselves. So, because they're like mine, they get into trouble. But, then, I decided at one point, it's like, well, they need to burn more energy, and I'm walking mine all the time. I did not walk theirs with mine. I added on a walk with theirs. And now it's funny because every time I go over to their house, if I go to this one bathroom that's just down the hall from the garage, it's like the dogs start looking at the leashes like, all right, it's time to go. Because I would always go to the bathroom before I would put the leashes on them and load them in the car. It's like, yeah, we're not doing that. It's too cold. But yeah, so it's fun. But yeah, like that whole trying to consider my time and efforts that are going into the things that I'm being asked to do, and not letting myself get screwed over. It's like, it's still an ongoing thing. And yeah, like the environment I'm currently in, since I was always, my time and energy were pretty much taken advantage of on that end. Just because I was doing the things, then I was expected to do more things and it not be a problem. It's like, at some point, you have to care more about your time and energy, because other people aren't going to do it for you. It's like, yeah. Some people are good and, don't want to screw you over. Then there's the others that are, give them an inch, or, yeah, you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. Yeah, that kind of. So navigating that whole thing. But yeah, like that, I'm certain that's why I am still here right now. I'm still trying to work through that stuff. I had that deal with like the jealousy issue that came up the other day, and then going back to that bear picture and like how everything kind of fell apart that day. It's like this whole thing goes back to that worthiness wound, and it's like I always felt unworthy to have and do things of my own because I wanted to do them. So if it didn't benefit the family, then it was a waste of time or whatever. It's like, that's a shitty way of being. And it's like the whole jealousy piece came up. It's like, this doesn't even make sense. But then when I sat with it a little bit, it's like it goes back to that worthiness thing. And like, of course, it's like the lessons at this point, it's like, since I'm catching on quicker, the universe is giving me like, here's this, but then also this. And they are directly connected. You just might not see it that way if you're not looking at it the way I'm trying to do. Because I'm trying to look at things with, okay, I know I gotta heal some shit, so what else we gotta work on today? Kind of a thing. And yeah. But that whole, it's like the jealousy thing went straight back to that same worthiness wound. And it's like, basically, because, like with the picture, my family was basically telling me right then that, that, okay, you did a thing and won a contest, but that's kind of getting out of line, because that's beyond what you're supposed to do for this family. And that doesn't do anything to help the family out so much. So that's a problem, but then seeing it play out differently and, going back to that, I'm very grateful for the fact that I did have the other group, the Interpath group, that I was able to talk to about the win, and everybody was celebrating it with me. It's like, these are the kind of people I needed in my life, not the ones that suck the life out of everything and make me feel really bad about it all. It's like, that's kind of bullshit, and I'm kind of tired of that. So, yeah. Anyway. So, over an hour again. So I think I should go ahead and just wrap this up, because I could probably talk for 2 hours today, but I don't really need to. And, at some point they'll be back. And there's still packages on the porch because I left them there when the dogs were barking. Yeah. Yeah, and maybe I'll clean something. Or, yep. See, I have these movies from the library. I have gotten several of them multiple times with the intention that I might watch them, and then I just never do. Like Inside Out 2, it's like I want to watch it at some point, but it's just not been a huge priority. And if I'm writing, then it might be distracting, so I won't do it that way. But since I got some cleaning to do, that's another story, and I don't need to pay fully attention to whatever I'm cleaning. I can half watch a movie in that time too. So yeah. Anyway, kids just really wanting some attention. So so yeah. Let's wrap it up. As always, I appreciate you. Until the next time, see ya.